So the Graham Platner scandal has backfired spectacularly, and the exact opposite happened as the smear merchants wanted to happen. So let me go ahead and walk you through this. First, let me show you. Senator John Fetterman goes off on Graham Platner. Quote, "Where's P. Hustle?" I guess that was his nickname on one of the hookup apps, and so they think this is like an epic burn. He continues, "We didn't match up on Kick, so I haven't seen him yet," Fetterman says, adding that he'd love to meet him. "I mean, he's a tough guy. When I was growing up, if someone had a Nazi tattoo, you pretty much assume he's a Nazi sympathizer. He expressed frustration with how I dress, and this asshole is on Kick, sexting to a dozen women." So as I pointed out, as you can see here right underneath, I said, literal bloodlusting child mass murder supporter. Bro, can you believe the affairs this guy had, bro? Can you believe that, bro? Here's the most disturbing point. Everybody who's accusing Platner of being a Nazi, they 100% know with certainty he's not a Nazi. So it is the most dishonest political attack I think I've ever seen. When you know for sure the person is not a Nazi, but you're still hurling accusations of him being a Nazi, that just means you're dishonest. That just means you're disingenuous. That just means you're full of shit. That just means you're going after the lowest common denominator, most dipshit, dumbass attacks I've ever seen in my life. That's what that is. And it also shows you they actually can't discuss the substance. And it's not a coincidence, by the way, that Donald Trump's favorite Democrat, who Trump is literally in the midst of recruiting to become a Republican, is the one who's leading the charge against Graham Platner. That's not a fucking coincidence. Because remember, the concern a lot of people have had about Platner is, oh, I think he's going to do an about face and become the next Fetterman. Really? If that's the case, why does Fetterman himself fucking despise him? It's almost like he's the opposite of John Fetterman in every imaginable way. And of course, John Fetterman doesn't like him. The real reason John Fetterman doesn't like him is because Graham Platner is anti-Israel, and he's anti-genocide, and he's anti-war. And all of those things, Fetterman takes the opposite position. He's pro-war, he's pro-Israel, he's pro-genocide. He's also the most pro-Trump Democrat that there is. He has more as a Democrat, Fetterman has more kind things to say about MAGA and Trump than he does about Graham Platner, who every time Graham opens his mouth, he's ranting against war, he's ranting against Israel, he's ranting against the billionaires, he's ranting in defense of minority communities. That's the other thing that drives me crazy is when people pretend like, because he's got like the gruff MAGA white guy aesthetic, therefore, like he's not woke enough when it comes to minority communities. He literally has it in his repertoire when he gives speeches and when he does interviews and when he does town hall events. One of his main lines is, people need to understand, minority communities are not the problem. Trans kids are not the problem. Black people, immigrants, minorities are not the problem. Muslims are not the problem. Jews are not the problem. The problem are the billionaires. He says that shit. He says it. But somehow that doesn't matter, and he's somehow like anti-woke and fucking right-wing on social issues when he's not. The only issue he is right-wing on is guns, and he fucking comes from Maine, which is like, of course somebody from Maine is going to be like that, right? But here you have Fetterman, the stroke-having, brain-not-working, fucking Zionist, Nazi freak ass going after Graham Platner and thinking it's some epic burn that he had a sexting affair. Like, give me a fucking joke, bro. Give me a joke. Give me a break. You are a joke is a better way to say it. All right, more. So I'll also show you this. Online is not real life. Mainers don't give a shit about a candidate's private sex life. So this is what I've seen too, is that online you got a million people talking about this, taking all different sorts of positions. There's a bunch of outrage. There's a bunch of anger. There's a bunch of people assuming he already lost the race, which is like fucking crazy to me. Because it's like, you're just making that up. Like, you're literally just making that up. He's up double fucking digits. Even if he were to lose 10 points, it's like he still wins, right? So I don't know what the panicking is for. Well, I know what the panicking is for. It's like they actually want him to lose. So they're trying to will that into existence, and they want Susan Collins to win. You have the Republicans going after him, and you have the liberals who wanted Mills to win, who are so butthurt that now they won't support Platner. They all want Susan Collins to win, even though they won't tell you that, okay? Well, listen to this. Here's a local news segment, and they explain what's actually happening in Maine.
So we're hearing directly from Mainers who are processing the latest scandal to rock Graham Platner's Senate campaign.
That's not breaking news for any politician, to tell you the truth.
I couldn't care less, honestly.
I mean, look at our president and his track record of things that he's tweeted online or what he said about women.
Many voters in Maine tell us Democratic Senate candidate Graham Platner's latest controversy will not change their vote.
Separate what somebody's doing in their personal life and the mistakes or whatever that they've done from how they run politically.
I don't think any differently about him since that story came out.
At this point, I don't think anything would shock anyone. After JFK, after Clinton, after Trump, there's been bipartisan sex scandals of all kinds.
How do you feel about Senator Susan Collins? think it's time that we replace him.
This is literally like across the board. Everybody's like, yeah, whatever, bro. I don't care. Hey, at least he wants to tax the rich. Like, this is what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, she's done some good, but there's some things I don't agree with, but that's me. That's how I feel. Yeah. And I don't know if Graham Platner is going to be the guy or not. I mean, I have no idea. We just have to wait and see and find out.
I'm not really too excited about that kind of thing. I mean, it's a red flag, but at the end of the day, it'll be interesting to see what his policies and take are on. What we have going on with affordability, housing, and other things that bother the state.
The voters we talked to said it won't be changing their opinion of him.
The fact that he might have been sexting some people isn't indicative of how I think he would be representing me.
Some say it's a distraction.
I don't think that the DNC supported him from the beginning, and I think it's just kind of more dirty tricks.
I've spoken to dozens of voters here this morning, both on camera and off camera, and I asked them the same question. Do they think Platner should drop out? And frankly, across the board, both Republican and Democratic voters have said they don't think he should.
Both Republican and Democratic voters are like, meh, whatever. I mean, look, it's another example of online is not real life. I mean, sometimes it feels like it is. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's a mix. But like in this instance, it's a bunch of fucking babbling and nonsense. And then when you actually talk to the people who matter, they're like, are we fucking 5 years old here? Again, I refuse to live in a world anymore where there are different standards for Democrats and Republicans. And that's what we're looking at, is different standards for Democrats and Republicans. So Trump gets to be a war criminal and a pedophile and a rapist, but Graham Platner couldn't sext 6 adult women consensually, right? And by the way, I'm not condoning that behavior. Obviously, he should have been faithful. And like, it is to some extent a red flag, right? But having said that, what else are you going to do? Are you going to write in fucking Shaggy from Scooby-Doo? You're going to write in Janet Mills? You're going to fucking support Susan Collins? Like, I'm sorry, but do you believe him or do you not believe him when he says what he's about, which is anti-war, which is anti-genocide, which is pro-raising taxes on the billionaires, pro-union, pro-higher wages? I think worst case scenario, he votes like a bog standard Democrat, which is obviously 10 trillion, zillion, quadrillion times better than any MAGA cuck, which is exactly what Susan Collins is. So it's not landing, bro. The shit is not landing. But the plot thickens. Ready? Nathan Bernard. Susan Collins had a long-term affair with her current husband, marrying him in 2012 when he divorced his wife, who was dying of cancer. And then this guy right here, he is, I believe somebody said this guy's like a big journalist in Maine. Like he's a guy that's in the know. Susan Collins should be careful about throwing stones from glass houses when it comes to issues of infidelity. It's been an open secret in Washington, D.C. for decades, but the Wall Street Journal and New York Times have never probed into it. Wonder why. And then sharing here, New York Times says, the couple met in 1974 when Miss Collins was an intern in the office of Mr. Cohen, then a Maine congressman. The exact date of Thomas Daffron's divorce from his first wife, Margaret Corey, is not a matter of public record, though it occurred sometime prior to his marriage to U.S. Senator Susan Collins in August 2012. In other words, I don't want to hear it, bro. Susan Collins herself also engaged in some, infidelity where the guy literally left his wife with cancer. Like, I gotta be honest, that sounds even worse, right? I wouldn't bring it up. It wouldn't be a deal breaker if that person had good policies. But, like, again, glass house, yada, yada, et cetera, you get it. Okay, more. They're getting so desperate to try to take down Platner. Ready? New from me in the Washington Free Beacon right-wing outlet. Morris Katz, a top advisor to embattled Maine Senate candidate Graham Platner, admitted in a 2019 blog post that he has also sent explicit material to people in the past. Quote, I've sent nudes and I've received nudes, Katz said. Why are we talking about this? What's the scandal? Grown man sends and receives nudes consensually? Like, what are we doing here? What do you live in, like 1937 or something? Like, I got news for you. Everybody who's an adult in the year 2026, not everybody, I'll go 80% or so have sent nudes or received nudes. Like, it's just a thing that happens in the modern day and age. That's like how it works. In fact, to not have that happen at all, that's actually the weird thing. So why are we talking about this? Why are we fucking doxing this poor guy's sex life? Why is this an issue? Is that supposed to be like nobody's ever allowed to ever send and receive nudes, even if it's consensual, even if you're adult? Like, what are we doing here, bro? Seriously, what are we doing? But this is how desperate they are. By the way, somebody also just wrote a hit piece on Hassan, and the hit piece was like, hey, he jacks off and he has sex. What? Like, what are we doing? What? Of course he does. He's a grown man. So, like, grown men do shit like that. What are you talking? Oh my God. Oh my word. I'm going to have an aneurysm live on air. So The other day, the head of the NRSC, the Senate Republicans, they say, gonna be a long day for Graham Platner tomorrow. And you had all these liberal accounts, online liberal accounts that were like, see, we told you should have went with Mills. We told you this guy's a disaster. We told you they're going to take him down. We told you all the oppo is going to work. And they assumed that like another big story is going to come out about Platner that like is going to destroy him, right? Well, what did the NRSC mean when they said that? Here's what happened the next day. Outside the DSCC headquarters where Platner is meeting with Democratic senators. And it's just like a bunch of loser protesters. One's holding a sign that says Platner is a fraud. One says Platner can't kick his scandals. Kick is the name of like one of the hookup sites he was on, so they think it's like, you know, they think that's a gotcha. There's a picture of his Kick profile where he's showing his he doesn't have a shirt on and he's got a towel on. This guy's dressed like that. They're calling him, they're trying to say he's a Fredo, which is literally just a flat out lie. It's just a total lie. There's no evidence for that whatsoever. And it's ironic because all of the people in this picture suck off Donald J. Trump. Suck off Donald J. Trump and are part of the party that just ousted Thomas Massie because Thomas Massie wanted to release the fucking Epstein files. Okay? I don't want to hear shit from Republicans on anything when it comes to morality, when it comes to sexuality, when it comes to ethics. You can shut the fuck up, Ski, foreverington. Okay? You understand me? You're not serious people. You're the dumbest people in the world. But this is what they meant when they said, like, Platner's gonna have a bad day tomorrow. It's like, what, 12 idiots out there in fucking towels who are lying about him? These are the same people that were yelling at Bernie when Bernie was like, are you Republicans? No thank you. Don't need a lecture from you about morality. Bye. This is the same people that were going after Bernie. Okay. Sludge reports. The dark money groups amplifying attacks against Graham Platner are part of a network tied to pro-Israel lobby groups, AIPAC, and Foundation for Defense of Democracies. No shit. So, of course, the Epstein-class billionaires are going to go all in trying to defeat this guy because he's going to fucking stand up to them. He's going to raise their taxes. He's going to be a real one. You also have the military-industrial complex and the Israel lobby, who, of course, is all in against him because he said we shouldn't send any money, not a penny, not a motherfucking penny, not a penny to Israel. And then finally, I'll end on this note. You have this guy, Jeremy Fassler, who I believe is a liberal. You guys are going to want to shove your head against a concrete wall when you hear this. He says, Graham Platner is just the latest manifestation of a desire to recenter white masculinity in the Democratic Party. And he has all the same weaknesses of other avatars of masculinity consultants have thrown at voters. And the title is Graham Platner and the Rise of Democratic Toxic Masculinity. Are we really doing this as fascism is rapidly taking over this country? Is that what we're doing? Are we actually doing this as innocent immigrants are being frog marched into concentration camps and they're being tortured and raped? Are we really doing this as Trump is protecting the Epstein-class cabal of pedophile rapists? Are we really doing this as Trump launches a new war every other week and is illegally attacking Iran and bombing schools and hospitals? Are we really doing this as Trump and his billionaire buddies loot the treasury and rob us fucking blind? Are we really doing this as we're on the brink of a fucking Great Depression because of Trump's incompetence and stupidity and mismanagement? Are we really trying to kneecap the only Democrat that can take down Susan Collins in this moment when the whole fucking control of the Senate might come down to this? And you're gonna talk about democratic toxic masculinity? Oh my word. Oh no. Oh no. I'm sorry. We left this shit back in woke 1.0. I guess you haven't got the motherfucking memo, bro. This is left back in woke 1.0. Now we're in woke 2.0. This shit is known as dark woke, meaning all the Republicans can suck my nuts from the back. That's what that means. Meaning we don't fucking police each other. Excuse me, did you just call Donald Trump fat? Because that's actually really crude and fat-phobic. I don't give a fuck. He's a fat, pedophile, war criminal, rapist, racist, fascist con man. Who are we kidding? They're every negative thing in the book. I will call them every negative thing in the book. I will say that Stephen Miller is a disgusting, ugly little twerp fuck, okay? And you want to call me toxically masculine for doing it? That's your problem. That's a you problem. That's not a me problem, okay? And the fact of the matter is, most of the Democratic base are with us now, or with me now, or with the uncensored leftists who are telling the truth. See, it's just a disgusting hit piece, trying to use identity politics and woke 1.0 language to take down the only hope we have of actually defeating MAGA fascism. It's a necessity to take back the Senate in order to defeat MAGA fascism. You are going to do this as opposed to, I don't know, you should write a think piece about the fascism of Susan Collins or how she ends up helping toxic masculinity because she emboldens MAGA fascism. How about that think piece? No, you have a bone to pick because you wanted Mills to win. Mills didn't. She shit the bed. Now you're furious that leftists got the better of you. And so you're Your leftist derangement syndrome has overtaken your rational brain, and you're fine with shitting on the left, even if that means letting MAGA continue to run this country into a fucking ditch and destroy everything. It's humiliating. It's embarrassing. You should be fucking ashamed of yourself. And allow me to say on the record right the fuck now, if Janet Mills had beaten Graham Platner, I'd be fucking arguing for her like nobody's business. I'd break out my motherfucking pom-poms and be on air like, go Janet, go Janet. Why? Because we need to defeat the fascists. The fascists, the imperialists, the warmongers. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So, but thank you for your contribution to the discourse. Very nice of you. Oh, look, he's gruff. He looks like a MAGA guy, even though he's the opposite of that. Therefore, he's toxically masculine, and nobody should take him seriously, and he's a bad guy. Shut the fuck up, these people. Jesus Christ. Anyway, I don't know why I'm all mad. The scandal has backfired spectacularly. I didn't even show you all of this stuff. I had like 3 or 4 more things where they spoke to voters in Maine, and virtually across the board, they're like, I don't fucking care. Lower the gas prices, bitch. And that's where we're at now. So the dirty tricks aren't working. And if anything, Democrats should be happy, because what this shows is we all marveled at the fact that whatever people threw at Trump, he ended up winning no matter what. And it was like, that's crazy. Like, how is that possible? And how come we can't mimic that Teflon ability on our side? Well, now we finally have somebody who does kind of mimic that, and all of a sudden you don't like it. And it's like, I don't know. I would kind of like it if every Democratic candidate was this motherfucking Teflon. Wouldn't you? If you want to defeat MAGA, you would believe that. But maybe you don't. Maybe you don't.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.